there's something about workers in Bristol being expected to get to work and they can't afford the fuel. The buses are being scrapped. How are people meant to get around the city? Do you see what I mean? So that you reduce the buses, they can't afford to drive. You expect people to walk. What if you can't walk to get to your workplace? So there's no rescue remedy in place. There's no one saying, well, here is an offer that's going to enable you. You can't tell everybody to get on a bike. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can't say, jump on a bike or get on a scooter. You know, you can't, that's not the alternative. That's not transport. That's not, livable neighborhoods. That's just an alternative. What we need is to be able to insulate our homes again, because you remember the time when free insulation was available, and I think somewhere where I lived before, I was able to access that. We need to be retrofitting our homes so that they're warmer and more reliable. There's so much renting in Bristol that a lot of rogue landlords aren't putting the standards in, so there's going to be many people living in homes that are not fit for purpose, who are going to be paying more bills because they have unscrupulous landlords. So it's a bigger picture. To be warm and to be in your home should be a fundamental human right, isn't it? That you need to have a home, you need to be happy, you need to be able to heat and be healthy. You shouldn't actually technically have to be leaving your home to walk down a freezing road to go to a warm hub, because then you've got to leave that warm place to go back home. So I understand it, but I don't know how it's really going to work.
I mean, really, I go back to, how are people going to get there? If they, it's kind of, if people have mobility issues, for example, or if they need care during the day, then how are they going to get there? So we're going to need transport to pick people up, to take them to the warm hubs. I don't know. I've got no idea whether that's been considered, or if people need care, are we expecting the care is going to come to these warm hubs that are just not going to have the facilities? Libraries are not, because that's what's been spoken about, but libraries are not in a position to be able to provide hot food for large numbers of people. They just haven't got the facilities to do that. Hospitals might be able to do that, and schools might be able to do that, but libraries can't, churches can't. Possibly the odd community centre might have the facility to do that, but people would, if people are going to go there for, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours a day, they're going to need a hot meal as well, because that's also part of of this cost of living crisis. And I've not heard how that's going to be facilitated, should we say? And I think I agree with Lorraine. I mean, I think it's a start, and it's something that has been put forward because of the lack of what's coming down from national government, because it's almost like national government is kind of, well, everybody's left to their own devices. There's kind of the lack of kind of societal infrastructure. We've had 12 years of austerity that has just hollowed out all of these public services in a way that means we're now trying to catch up, and it's just not there. And it's very, very frightening. And I mean, I think as time goes on, unless there's a response at a national level, we will start to see the impact of that. Because if people can't put food on their table for their children, and the elder members of their families their health is at risk, their loved ones are really suffering. People, those people that are kind of, a bit younger, maybe a bit more fit, or a bit more able, are going to start taking things into their own hands, because they can see their loved ones are suffering.
We are not, with respect to third world country, there is billions of pounds in this country, and it's not being directed correctly because we have a Conservative government. That's what Conservative governments do. And if anybody was old enough to remember, the late 80s, when many citizens across Bristol rebelled against the council, the poll tax, goodness gracious, because the Conservative government at the time was trying to force this type of situation on us, and it's happened again. We need to renationalize our energy company, bring it, let's be rebellious. You know what I mean? We need to bring these services back into public control. This is ridiculous. we've got a situation where a central government responded to the pandemic, and they were throwing money at people, throwing money here, throwing money, look, we're the best government in the world because we are allowing people to go on furlough, and we are giving people, all this money we've invested. So why are they not applying? This is a crisis. This is no different to the pandemic. So why is central government not taking the same stance that we did during the pandemic? Those people have been in Boris's government, and they are responsible for the situation that we are in now. And we as a member of the public had to listen to the crap that they are spilling out about how they're going to change the country. How much further down do we need to go? So the government, central government, should be investing in health and social care. They should invest in the National Health Service and not invest in the private arm of the National Health Service. Yeah, they need to be looking at social problems, which is not part of their policies, but they need to do it.